I didn't buy a home. I signed a 30-year lease on my own freedom, and I paid a $100,000 entry fee just to start the clock on my own sentence. At 28, I stood in that wood-paneled office, feeling like I had finally reached the peak of adulthood. The lender, Ms. Sterling, didn't look like a villain. She looked like a kind aunt, offering me premium coffee in a porcelain cup and handing me a heavy gold pen that felt like a scepter. She spoke in glowing terms about retirement, about building a legacy, and about the dignity of ownership. I signed those papers with a hand that didn't tremble, believing I had just bought a fortress, a sanctuary for my future children. I didn't know I had just signed a resource extraction plan, and the only resource being mined was my youth. Let's look at the numbers Ms. Sterling never bothered to explain, the cold math they hide in the fine print. In the first 5 years of owning that dream, I paid the bank nearly $150,000. If you break it down, that's $82 every single day. $82 a day just for the permission to sleep in that room and park my car in that driveway. Every morning I woke up, I was already $82 in the hole before I even brushed my teeth. But here is the real punch to the gut. When I finally opened the payment portal after 60 months of grinding, I expected to see my debt melting away. Instead, I saw that my principal balance had only dropped by $18,000. That means $132,000 had simply evaporated. It wasn't house money. It was an existence tax the bank collected from me. I had spent 5 years, 60 hours a week, dealing with toxic bosses, swallowed by white-knuckle stress and missed birthdays, only to trade 15,000 hours of my life for a few bricks and a mountain of interest. I wasn't an owner. I was a high-functioning slave to an amortization schedule. While I was busy being an unpaid janitor for the bank, my friend Leo was playing a completely different game. Leo rented a small, boring apartment downtown. I used to laugh when I saw him using a microwave from his college days and sitting on a sofa he bought off a garage sale. I thought I was winning the race. I thought he was falling behind. But Leo was using reverse leverage. The $50,000 I used as a down payment for a stagnant asset, Leo threw into the market. While I was worrying about property taxes and curb appeal, Leo's money was working while he slept. In 5 years, his capital swelled to $80,000 without him ever having to pick up a paintbrush or mow a single blade of grass. Leo didn't own bricks, but he owned something far more precious. He owned time. He could quit his job tomorrow if he wanted to. I was a hostage to an interest rate. Everything changed on a rainy Tuesday night. It wasn't a sudden explosion, just a quiet sound that broke the silence of my investment. It wasn't a lightning strike, but a rhythmic, maddening drip, drip, drip from the ceiling. The roof was leaking. I looked at my phone, and a $15,000 repair quote flashed on the screen. At the exact same time, a notification popped up, an email from my company. Corporate restructuring. Your position has been eliminated. The fortress was crumbling, and the walls were closing in. I ran to the bank the next morning, desperate to find Ms. Sterling. I needed a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, just to fix the roof and survive the layoff. But Ms. Sterling wasn't the kind aunt anymore. Her office felt colder, the coffee was gone, and her smile was replaced by a sterile, professional mask. "I'm sorry, Simon," she said. "The market is cooling. With your principal balance barely touched, you don't actually have any equity to borrow against." I stood frozen in that marble lobby, surrounded by the expensive art that my interest payments had bought. I realized I was a paper millionaire, but a literal beggar in reality. I looked at my hands, the hands that had spent every weekend manicuring a lawn that the bank still technically owned. I was a tenant with all the responsibilities of an owner and none of the benefits. I drove home, but I didn't go inside. I sat in my car, watching my house glow under the streetlights. It didn't look like a fortress anymore. It looked like a monster with its mouth wide open, waiting for the next payment. I remembered the true meaning of the word mortgage. It comes from Old French. Mort means death. Gage means pledge. It's a death pledge, a promise you carry until the very end. The system needs you to buy early. It needs you tethered to a zip code, anchored to a desk, because a man with a 30-year debt is a man who is obedient. He won't demand a raise too loudly. He won't take risks. He will never, ever start that business he dreamed of in his 20s because he's too afraid of missing a payment. Leo just sent me a photo from a beach in Greece. He doesn't have a roof to fix, and he doesn't have a mortgage to feed. He has the whole sky to look at. Me? I walked inside and placed a cheap blue plastic bucket on my expensive hardwood floor to catch the rain dunning through my investment. And by the time you realize you're just a glorified security guard for someone else's asset, it's already too late.